Welcome to Type C Tech Reviews. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the Dell S3222HG monitor. I'm going to go over the pros and the cons and my real life experience that I've had with this monitor. And if at any point during the video you want to check out this exact same monitor, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. I do got you guys, but let's jump into the review. All right, now right off the bat, this is obviously a 32-inch monitor with a 1080p resolution. This is also a curved VA panel with a curve of 1800R, which is not insanely curved, but it is a little bit curved. All right, now the PPI, or pixels per inch, basically how clear and crisp everything is gonna be, is pretty low on this monitor because it is 1080p at 32 inches, so the PPI is 69. Now, for comparison, for like a typical 27-inch 1440p panel, that PPI is about 109. So 109 versus 69, and that is comparing a 27-inch 1440p panel versus a 32-inch 1080p panel. So you can definitely see how there is quite a big difference there. So yes, text is not going to be especially crisp and clear. However, this may not be a bad thing, especially if you're a console gamer, but more specifically the PS5, since it can only output 1080p and 4K, this may be a really good option for you because it's always best to output in native resolution. This would also be good if you want a big screen, but your system cannot output 1440p with high refresh rate. So if you're not gonna be able to hit those high frames, you might just wanna go 1080p, but you still want a big screen, this might be for you. All right, the refresh rate hits a max refresh rate of 165 Hertz, which is good. It's keeping with the new industry standard. However, this is a really good thing if you have a PS5, again, a gaming laptop, or a less powerful rig, because you're gonna actually be able to hit pretty easily those high 150, high 160 Hertz, high frame rate outputting from maybe a less powerful rig or a laptop or something like that. Now, moving on from that, we have FreeSync Premium in this, and during testing, during gaming, even in faster paced games, we're not really seeing screen tearing, which is really good. Moving on to brightness, this is actually quite good, hitting 350 nits, which is very respectable, especially for a 32-inch VA panel. A lot of these like 32-inch VA panels have really low brightness. I'm not sure why, but continuing on with that, the image is bright and vibrant. All the colors are very pretty, and you pair together the matte finish with the curve and that brightness, you're not really seeing much reflections at all, which is really good. So even if you're in a pretty bright room, reflections are not gonna be an issue. All right, moving on to colors. This is covering 99% of the sRGB color gamut, which is pretty good. However, we're not seeing 10-bit color here. Obviously, very few of these 32-inch VA panels actually output 10 bits of color. I think the Asus one, their 32-inch one, does output 10 bits of color, but I think that's one of the only ones. So this does max out at 8 bits of color. But again, probably not a big deal for you guys because most of you will not even be able to notice the difference, especially when gaming. All right, contrast ratio. Now, obviously, it is very good because this is a VA panel at 3,000 to 1. That is the contrast ratio. So obviously, the blacks are gonna be deep, nice and black and rich, which is a really big pro of having a VA panel over something like an IPS. So that is a really good thing. Beyond that, during testing for backlight bleed, we're not seeing any backlight bleed here, which is really good. I think Dell's quality control is quite good. I also didn't see any dead pixels or anything like that. Obviously, that would be a pretty big red flag, but yeah, none of that. All right, response time and ghosting. One of the biggest pros of this monitor by far. Okay, so this hits a 4 millisecond gray to gray response time, which is nothing insane, but how does that translate to ghosting? Well, this is, I think it's the best panel that I've ever tested, the best VA panel that I've ever tested with ghosting. Now, a lot of VA panels wildly vary with ghosting. Some of them have insane amounts of ghosting, while others have like a smaller amount. So it's kind of hard to pick a VA panel. But this one has probably the least amount of ghosting I have ever seen on a VA panel. It's extremely good. There's no pixel overshooting. It was very hard for me to tell the difference between a fast IPS panel, like some of the best gaming fast IPS panels by LG. Compare that with ghosting to this panel. It's kind of mind-blowing they were able to do this in a VA panel. So yeah, this is a huge thing, especially if you play fast-paced games. This is massive. And beyond that, sometimes we don't see a lot of ghosting, but then we see red and green ghosting in more darker areas on the screen. But again, I tested for that and there was none of that there. So this thing is like the most solid panel, VA panel for ghosting. It's awesome. Definitely one of the biggest pros of this monitor. All right, now the menu system and controls. I have a couple different feelings about the controls. One, there's 4 buttons that you can like program to do separate things in the menu system. Although I never use them, I don't really think they're that well integrated because you don't really know which one is which until you put all 4 fingers on them and then feel around them. However, not a big deal, I just never use them. And then to basically control the rest of the menu system or all of the menu system, you use a joystick, which works well. It is on the right side along with those other 4 buttons. I would like to see that under, just because if you had a dual monitor setup with 2 of these, one of them you would have to kind of like reach under pretty far back. But beyond that, something that I really like is they have a dedicated power button that actually looks quite nice. This is huge for me. It's really easy to turn on and off the monitor, especially like I get up every day, turn the monitor on. So living with that has been really nice. It's a nice clicky feel to it too. The actual menu system is pretty easy to learn. It's nice and pretty, and you can find things pretty easily. However, it's not quite as nice as LG, which has the best one in the game. Talking about Vesa compatibility, this is Vesa compatible with 100mm by 100mm Vesa mounts, and you definitely can mount this, but it is quite hefty and heavy at 15.1 pounds without the stand. That's a pretty heavy monitor. Talking ports, they are fairly limited with 2 HDMI 2.0s, 1 DisplayPort 1.2, and a 3.5mm audio out. So not a ton of ports. The competition actually gives you a little bit more ports and a little bit other stuff. However, that's what Dell gave you. All right, stand and build quality. Overall build quality is pretty good. The stand has nice black plastic on it. Everything feels like it's put together well. The stand has height adjustability and tilt. It does not have rotation and it does not have swivel, although I don't really mind that. Now the front face of the monitor is pretty attractive with very thin bezels on the top and left and right sides. On the bottom shin, it's a little bit bigger, but not that thick, and it is quite attractive overall. For the overall verdict, do I recommend this monitor to you? Well, yes and no. If your rig can push 1440p at higher frame rates, then no. I would definitely recommend the Gigabyte G32QC. I will link below that review that I did on it and the Amazon links if you want to check it out. That panel is a little bit brighter. It is 1440p, but it does have slightly worse ghosting because this one is insane with ghosting, but it's also the exact same price and you're getting 1440p, so quite a bump in resolution. However, if your rig can't push 1440p, you're on a laptop or a PS5, I absolutely recommend this thing because it has 1, native resolution of 1080p and insanely good ghosting for a VA panel. Again, if you want to check out this monitor or the Gigabyte, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international link. But yeah, if you are kind of like, if your PC can actually output 1440p at higher frames, I would definitely recommend the Gigabyte. However, if it can't, native resolution is always better and that high frame rate is super nice. In game, the resolution is not noticed as much. That's just across the board. In games like racing games, it'll definitely be noticed more, but in faster paced games like Warzone, I don't really find it to be that big of a difference, even at such a big level as 1080p at 32 inches. So yeah, I'm kind of torn because the ghosting is really, really good. Better than any other VA panel I've ever seen. So Dell is doing an awesome job with that. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video and it helped you out, help me out and throw a like below. And if you enjoy other videos like this, monitor unboxings and monitor reviews, that's all I do on this channel, Type C Tech Reviews. But this was Type C Tech Reviews and I'll see you guys in the next video.